So, this is the topic life after death that goes alongside your home learning for this week. So first of all, do Catholics believe in life after death? Yes, they most certainly do. Okay, now throughout this video, I'm going to talk about all the different sort of reasons why they believe in life after death. Now, a lot of the answers to do with this are to do with the life and the teachings of Jesus. So, the first thing to sort of consider is that Catholics believe that there is a life after death because Jesus taught about it. Throughout his life, throughout his teachings, throughout his ministry, he gave a lot of sort of teachings about it. Now, one of the sort of the most memorable ones is the one that he gave to the penitent thief on the cross. He said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Now, what he was saying here is that he's referring to a place, heaven. Okay, he's referring to heaven, and that he said the penitent thief could go there because he had shown that he was truly sorry for the bad things that he had done in his life. So that's something that Catholics sort of take on board. They believe that there's a life after death because Jesus taught about it, and it has an impact on their life by making sure that if they do wrong, they confess their sins by going to reconciliation, or they strive to lead a good Catholic life by showing love to God and love to others. Now, they also believe that because of Jesus' resurrection, that there is a life after death. Now, what I mean by this is that they believe that it's proof, okay? They believe that Jesus, by rising from the dead and saying, "I am the resurrection," which is a quotation used, that Catholics believe that there is proof that God has the power to raise us from the dead as he did for Jesus. Now, we believe that not to sort of be reincarnated on the earth, but to be raised into heaven with him. Now, Catholics also believe in something that is called atonement. Now, this is probably the most challenging part of this video, okay? Now, atonement, right, you've got this sort of idea. We've learned about this in year 9, but we probably would have forgotten about it. Now, you've got sort of the understanding of that God and human beings were not on the best of terms, okay? Human beings had turned away from God, and it became a bit of a divide between humans and God. Now, when Jesus died, okay, when Jesus sacrificed his life for us, what he did is that he was showing God that, look, God, I am giving you a gift, the gift of my life. Please accept it so that you and human beings can get back together, can reunite. And that's exactly what did happen. So atonement, the way I always do it is Jesus sacrificed his life to create a bridge between heaven and earth, okay, between heaven and earth. The human beings, when they die, can cross if they've had a good Christian life and they have said sorry for the sins that they have committed. The official definition is that atonement is the belief that Jesus' death and resurrection healed a divide between humans and God, which opened the way for God and human beings to be one again. Now, so the third sort of reason why Catholics believe in life after death is that they believe in atonement. They believe that because of Jesus sacrificing his life for us, for all of human beings, that he created a bridge between heaven and earth, or reunited humans and God, so that when we die, if we've had a good life, we can go to heaven. The impact that has on Catholics' lives is obvious, that they lead a good Catholic life. They try to put Jesus' teachings into action, but when they do wrong, when they sin, they go to reconciliation and confess their sins. Now, so that sort of deals with the idea of atonement. Now, the next one is something that we should all be familiar with because we studied it in detail in year 10, and that is about the idea of a soul, okay? Now, so Catholics believe that we have a soul that never dies, so that we'll go to the afterlife. Now, they call this immortality of the soul. It should be a phrase that we're all familiar with, immortality of the soul. Now, they believe that our soul comes from God. It's a part of God. When God breathed life into Adam, so essentially that breath is mine, that breath is God's, when he breathed life into Adam. And we believe that the soul never dies, and that essentially it comes from God, it's God's possession, so it will return to him one day. and it will return to him if we've led a good life so that we can go to heaven. Because Catholics believe that there are sort of three options of where you can go when you die. Number one, heaven, okay, the place that you will go if you've led a good life in line with God's laws and Jesus' teachings. The worst one, okay, that hopefully none of us are going to end up in is hell, okay, and this is if we've led a sinful life and an evil life. And then the one in between is called purgatory. Now, purgatory is the belief that we've led a good life, but there are some aspects of our life that we have sinned that maybe we need to work off, okay, that we need to put right. And in purgatory, that's what we do. It's a little bit like a waiting room for heaven where we prepare ourselves to go there. So those are the three different places. Now, so when we decide which one of those three we go to, we actually go through two different judgments. Okay, the first one is called individual judgment, where you would judge just by yourself. Okay, it's just you dying. It happens as you end what's called the end of your life. Jesus says to the penitent thief, "Today you will be with me in paradise." That judgment happens as soon as you die. So that is called individual judgment. But Jesus also teaches in the parable of the sheep and the goat that at the end of time, that God will separate the good and the bad, and that is when they will go to heaven or hell forever. Okay, just like a shepherd or a farmer would separate the goat and the sheep, God will separate the good and the evil, and that is called final judgment. Okay, so those are the two different types of judgment that we will go through. Now, it's called one of your questions saying who do Catholics believe can go to heaven. Okay, now this is an interesting one, because if you're not a Catholic, does that mean you can go to heaven? Well, the answer to that is yes. Okay, because more than anything, if you look at the different religions, or even just moral, even just what we consider to be a good person, right? The most important thing is that they've led a good moral life. Now, if you've led a good moral life, then you are going to lead a good Christian life in the main, okay? If you've acted to be a good person, then God will recognize that, okay? And the teaching that supports this is that Jesus says, "There are many rooms in my Father's house." Now, this isn't Jesus just showing off that he's got a proper good mansion when he goes to heaven. What is sort of the interpretation for this is that there might be a part of heaven that is for non-religious people, or that there is a part that is for Muslims or for Catholics, or for, you get my drift, different sections within heaven. And what Catholics believe, though, and this is what you should talk about if you're going to use this in an exam answer, Catholics believe that the best way to get to heaven is by being a Catholic, and there's a number of reasons for this, okay? But the main one is to do with you following the teachings of Jesus, okay? And Jesus says, "I am the truth, the way, and the life. No one can get to my Father's house unless through me." Now, that seems to sound like it contradicts my Father's house sort of teachings from before, okay? But what we interpret that as being is that the best way to get to heaven is by following the teachings of Jesus. So, Catholics believe that all people can go to heaven, but the best way is by following the teachings of Jesus and being a Catholic, okay? There is sort of like an alternative to this. People believe that the Catholic views are wrong, okay, and that there isn't a life after death. And the main reason for this would be no evidence, okay? So a lack of evidence, even when you talk about the resurrection, some people don't believe in that happening, lack of evidence of that. Also, lack of evidence of souls. I mean, if we think about the fact we've had exploratory surgery, we know the body pretty well, there's no evidence of a soul, and also that there's no evidence of an afterlife, okay? Of a heaven, of a hell. So that's the big reason why. And the second sort of thing we talk about is that some people don't believe there's an afterlife because they don't believe in God. So as a result of that, if they don't believe in God, then they could say that instead they believe that we only live once. And then you could draw upon some of the work you did in year 10. You could talk about, for example, humanists. They believe that you only live once and that when you die, you die. And they believe the only way you live on is through your legacy, through your memories, through your children. Okay, so those are the two different sort of ones. There's a lack of evidence of the afterlife, and many people don't believe in God and believe that you only live once. When you die, you die. Okay, so if you answer those questions and the 15 questions, and there's exam answer underneath for you to do on this. Stay safe. Cheerio.